Hey YouTube, I am Fasha, and today on HO Scale Model Railroading, we're going to show you how to take this car and make it look like this car. Awesome, huh? I got your attention now, right? Alright, so we're going to do a two-part series on adding new paint and decals, and part one of the project is going to be on disassembling the project car, removing the current paint and decals, and prepping the car or the project car for paint. In part two, we're going to take a look at putting on the new paint, prepping the new paint and surface to accept decals, applying decals, setting decals, and reassembly. So come along with us while we have some fun and take something old and make it look new. Alright, the tools we're going to be using on this project are hand sanitizer. It's always good to have clean hands so you don't get no kind of foreign object involved in the paint or the decals, a pick for prying, a set of tweezers for holding small parts, an X-Acto knife, a Ziploc bag. As you can see, I've got this one marked ATSF 11074 to CSX. That little bag will hold any parts that I take off of the car during this project. Sharpie to mark the bag and the inside shell so I keep up with what is what, and then a foam base that I use to hold the items I'm working on. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this thing broke down. We got our little Ziploc bag here that we're going to put our parts in. We got our Sharpie standing by. We're going to start off with the pick. This is like my favorite tool for putting stuff together and taking it apart. And you're going to see how I like to use that here in just a minute. The first thing that we want to do prior to fixing the car up or getting it ready to paint is we want to take it apart and clean everything. You want a nice clean surface. That's one of the reasons I always have the hand sanitizer close by, because once you get this plastic in your hand and you start touching it, anything that you touch later comes in contact with your skin, and anything that comes in contact with your hand is going to transfer over to the car. Some lotions, chemicals, water will adversely affect the surface of the area that you're going to be working on with either the paint or a cleaner or whatever. So just remember, cleaning is everything. Cleaning is everything. You want a nice, clean, prepared surface. If you ask anybody who paints cars for a living what the paint job's like, they'll tell you that 90% of a successful paint job is preparation and only 10% paint. First thing I want to do is get rid of its accoutrements. My son hates that word, but it looks like it has these roof-mounted walkways here that come apart, and all I'm going to try to do here is just simply pull them out by hand if they will come out by hand. So we got that off now. We're going to go ahead here and we're going to real easy like take the handbrake wheel, and we're going to do that by simply just trying to turn it a little bit. And if it doesn't want to turn, we'll come back over with a pair of tweezers and we'll slowly work our way under it, applying pressure to both sides. And what you want to be careful here with is not to break off the little mounting end of it that goes into the car. And if it does break off, it's no big deal. I'll show you how to do that. This is turning kind of free now, and there you go. It came right out. Next thing we're going to do, and this is where my hook comes in handy. If you'll notice, looking down the side of the car, we have a frame push through right here that comes through the frame, and typically that'll lift right up. That'll lift right up and come off there. And we have another one over here. So now we got our shell here, and we need to figure out what we're going to do. Honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do about this door. I'm a fan of operating doors, but the problem that I foresee is if you look right here at the top hook sort of wants to come out, and if I close the door and paint it, then I'm going to have a small area right here that I'm going to have to open the door back up and paint again. And I'm concerned that if I put too much paint on these tracks, the door won't go back in there. So I can tell you probably what's going to happen. I'm going to paint it with the doors closed. I'll put a little drop of super glue on the inside and be good to go. Okay, so now let's move on.
So here's the chemicals that I like to use when I'm trying to remove paint from manufactured engines and rolling stock. I have a variety, but first and foremost is safety glasses. Always have them on when you're dealing with chemicals. Latex gloves, simply because some of the plastic sometimes will get soft and you don't want to leave fingerprints on the outside surfaces. 70% isopropyl rubbing alcohol, then 91% isopropyl alcohol, followed up with nail polish remover with protein regular, acetone pure straight up. It's a little more expensive, but it works. And finally, Pine Sol. Keep in mind that if you use Pine Sol, you can possibly leave fingerprints, and this stuff has to soak for days. Okay, so just keep that in mind, and you'll do okay.
I forgot something I normally do. I'm an old guy. Cotton swabs. They're my best friend. I use them for everything, especially in part 2 of the series, where we will be applying the decals and the solution. Alright, so what we're going to try first is the nail polish remover. I'm going to set it over here. We're going to get a little bit. We're going to put it in the cap so we can access it. And we're going to set the rest over here away from our work area, our immediate work area, so we don't knock it over. Now, I ain't got my gloves on right now because I'm not going to be fondling this stuff too much. I'm just looking to see if this will do what I want it to do. So let's open the door up, and hopefully you can see inside here where I'm working at. And I'm just going to dab the cotton swab into the solution, and I'm going to go on the inside here. This is kind of hard for me. And I'm going to just start rubbing it lightly on a brown area of the paint. And after a minute or so of swabbing, you should be able to see some difference. Okay, and it didn't take quite a minute. Alright, there's what we're looking for. Can you see the paint on that? Can you see that spot in there that I just swabbed off, the black spot? Alright, so that tells us that with a little bit of elbow grease, this is what we need to be using. And also at the same time, it tells us that this boxcar was molded in black. That's a good thing. Sometimes if you use too abrasive of a chemical, it can have adverse results. Real quickly, I want to show you this. I'm going to set it up right here. When I was talking about adverse effects, can you see the fingerprints right here, the thumbprint in the side of this car? That is an adverse effect. That comes from not using your gloves and using a chemical that was too hard to or too abrasive on the car. And what it did was it left a thumbprint in there, and it actually started making the plastic soft. And oh, just for giggles, I'll show you one that I just really screwed up. This is a car that I just early on just screwed up. Got in a hurry. The paint wouldn't come off, and I kept going up the ladder of abrasiveness. Ended up with some stuff that just really screwed it up. And as I zoom in here, you can see it's pretty much toast. Each one of those is a groove. I've tried to fill it with putty, and it's just not working. So this old guy here is gonna he's probably gonna show up in another video rusted all to pieces, set on a siding somewhere, and never to be spoke of again. So alright, good to go. Alright, so we're gonna go back to our main project here, and we're gonna get set up to clean this guy, and let me do that and I'll be right back. We got our little paper towel set up. We've filled our cap up with our nail polish remover, regular, protein enriched. So we're going to set that to the side. We got us some Q-tips. We're going to throw them over here where we can have them in easy reach for what we're doing. And if I didn't mention it before, we got our old clothes on. Okay, habitually you will go to wipe your hands on your pants or your shirt, or if you spill something on something nice. I don't want your mom or your dad or your girlfriend or whoever, husband, wife, yelling at you because you screwed up some good clothes because you were doing what I told you to do. Okay, and we're getting ready to put our safety glasses on. So let's go ahead. We got them on. We're in good shape. And now we're going to get started with this guy. Now, one of the things that I try to do first is I don't want to try to take the entire paint off the car unless I have to. I just want to get rid of the labels or the decals. Now you might say to yourself, well, why do you want to get rid of the decals? Well, it's been my experience and my experience alone, okay, that if you leave the decals on there, they show up under the paint. Matter of fact, I've got a picture of one that a friend did, and I'll show you that, and you'll see how that happened. So now we're just going to trying to do this so I'm not putting my hand in front of the camera. Alright, so now we're just going to take our cotton swab, we're going to put it in here. I don't have my stuff on yet because I'm just working on the top, no gloves yet. And what we're going to do is we're just going to come right here, and we're just, ooh, look at that. And it's just going to, we're just going to try to paint the area. We know the brown will come off if we push real hard, but if we just lightly touch it, it looks like the Santa Fe is coming off. Let me zoom in for you. So we're just going to lightly rub this around. And again, the key is to take the logo off and not the paint. If you can leave the paint on there, then that's a good thing. Because if you start taking the paint off, what happens is then you have an area that you have to sand. And what we want to do is just get the logo off without a whole lot of trouble. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and paint these two. And by painting means we're just going to lightly go ahead and prep them while we're working on this. Now you see the Q-tip's getting kind of dirty. At some point you're going to have to figure out your own style when that bothers you and to change it. So we got the black on here, and it looks like we're getting to the white now, so I'm going to take this off and I'm going to go ahead and rub it around here a little bit to keep it from letting that black set in. And it looks like lightly rubbing, and it's bringing that stuff right out of there. So just a little weight, not a whole lot, not a whole lot. Alright, cool. I'm going to keep working on this and we'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, we've got our lettering off. What we're going to do now is we're going to let this air dry, and then we're going to get started on the other side, and then we'll be back. Oh, there you are. Wonder where you went. You got awful quiet. Hey, YouTube. Alright, what we're doing now is we're just finishing up. As you can see, we've went ahead and got the little box car nice and cleaned up. I went ahead and brought in some cotton balls to finish up the cleaning process. A couple little things here. When you're working on decals and you're trying to take them off, sometimes even when you're rubbing ever so lightly with your Q-tips, you still get a rough exchange between where the logo was and where the paint still exists. So if you can rub your finger across it and you can feel a little texture, you need to just keep rubbing that lightly enough to make it a smooth transition from where there was a decal and there isn't one now to where the regular paint is. What I found out, and this is different with every car, I did a Burlington Northern Tyco here a while back, and it was perfect. It was perfect. I mean, I hit it and it came right off and it was a smooth transition, and when I painted over it, everything was good to go. What I found here on these was even after I had taken the logo off, there was still a little smear there. So basically I just brought in some cotton balls, dabbed them into my nail polish remover, the regular protein enriched, and just started swiping. So we're good to go on these on all sides. I've decided to take it out, and I'm going to put it back in and glue it so it stays in place. And we're going to take this guy into the kitchen, and we're going to give it a good hot soapy water bath to get any imperfections off, and then we're going to let it air dry, and then we're going to come back and we're going to give it another hot soapy bath and let it dry. And it sounds redundant, but remember what I said in the beginning, 90% of a good paint job is prep. Okay, here we are. We've got everything nice and cleaned up. We've used a tissue to go around and clean all the grooves out, looking for anything shiny in there. We don't have anything shiny. You know, check your grooves up here and check inside the car as well too, because you don't want any water on this car anywhere. Water will settle in holes. You just blow that out and dampen it out. One thing that I did notice, okay, hold on a minute. We got a little water right there. And I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's a little shiny spot of water up here in the hole where the handbrake wheel mounts, and we want to get that out. Whoop, dropped my Q-tip. Looks like the best way to get that out of there is to take a Q-tip. I told you Q-tips are my favorite friends. And just wad some of it off here. Make it to a little point. Hold that scruff out of your way. And then just take that little Q-tip and stick it right down in that hole. And hold it for a minute. And it should pull that pull that water out of there. Okay, yeah, we're good to go. So nice and dry. Prepping to paint stage, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to use some Duracoat, some testers, number 1260 dull coat, and I like this, but it comes out real heavy, so you want to stay back away from it a little bit. But we're sitting here and we've got a shininess on our car, and what we need to do is to give the paint something to stick to. This is really smooth here. You can see how shiny it is, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this right here now so you can get a picture of how shiny it is, and once we put the dull coat on it, you'll see the difference. And the dull coat will give the paint something to adhere to. It makes the where this right here is not very porous right now, this dull coat will go on there and give it a porous surface, something for the paint to latch onto to keep it from running. Okay, so let's move along to prepping for paint. Okay, now we're going to set up the paint booth. Hoping you can see this. This is just some styrene board that I got from the Dollar General store for $1. I cut it up and I taped it up and I made a paint booth. So it stores like this. I got tape on this side, tape on that side, tape on the bottom, and when I open it up, voila, I got a paint booth. Here's my lamp. I told you about it. I'll give you a zoom in view here in a minute. I normally set it right here. Just a real quick sidebar. My paint stand started life as a lamp from Walmart for like $8. Okay, all I basically did was pick this thing up, brought it home, took the bulb out, took the globe off the top, cut the wires off, and then cut the wires off the base. It's very heavy. It's about a 3-pound base, so I can grab it, I can muscle it around, I can move it around. It's not going to fall over, it's not going to fall, and if it gets trashy, so be it. There's a lot of other items out there that you can pay a lot more money for that will do the same thing, but hey, this works for me, so I thought I'd share it. Here's the putty I use. It's plumber's putty. I'll get a zoom in on it here in just a second for you, but normally what I'll do, actually I already got one made. As you can see, I've got some pulled out. I keep it in a ball. I'll set this down. Normally I'll put it in here, put it in my hands, roll it around a little bit, kind of get it back to a good sticky consistency. It will dry out on you, but once I have it where I think I need it, or where I want it into a nice ball, like so, I just plop it on top of this thing. Now, the plumber's putty is kind of neat because it'll do a couple of things. Number one, it will allow me, oh, hold on, where's my hand cleaner? Hand cleaner, remember that? I told you about that. What it will do is it will adhere to the inside of the boxcar, and it will not get anything on the exterior surface of the car that we're going to want to paint. So I got my hands nice and clean now, because that has a chemical in it. Remember what I told you earlier about chemicals. So now what we're going to do, and I got to be honest with you about this box car, I'm still not sure what I want to do with putting the door on it after we paint it, because I'm afraid that these grooves, the door tracks, are going to get full of the dull coat and then full of the paint and not work on there. But for the time being, we're going to leave the door off and dull coat it without it. So all I'm going to do here, and the door's open, you can see this pretty good. I'll go ahead and zoom in for you so you can see that part, and you should be able to see that. Now all I'm going to do is take the back of my hand and give it a little squish on there. Alright, can you see that? It's on there pretty good. I can rotate this thing with a nice heavy base. I can turn it up and I can see the shine of where I need to paint, and I can rotate it again, paint here, rotate it again, paint here, and then when I walk away, it's left right here to dry without any problems. So yeah, I'm walking around a little bit here because I got my camera set up. This dull coat will go all over this room as a fog, so you need to keep that in mind. Normally I would do this part of it in the garage because it fogs so bad, but I've got people out there working. Okay, one more quick little note. We got our box car up here. We're getting ready to start working on it, but we have these little pieces to paint too, and sometimes they can be hard to hold down and spray, because when you start to spray them, they want to slide all over the place. Well, I'm going to show you a little trick that I learned. Take you some tape, get you a like a sticky pad, something that has some sticky stuff on the back of it, and lay it down, tape it down so it doesn't move. Alright, now we can take this piece, the back side of it, on the tackiness here, because you remember these memo pads, this tackiness doesn't come off on what you stick it on. And we just put it right there on that one, and we take this one. Whoop, that ain't gonna work. How about that? It's got these tabs on the back of it. So what we'll do is we'll just take a piece of tape, Scotch tape. It's gonna be on the back side anyway. We'll fold it over. We'll put it right there. Hands good and clean. And then we'll take this piece and we'll put down on it. And we'll press it down. And now it's there. Alright, so here we go. Trying to do this in a way that you can see what I'm doing, but at the same time I don't fog my camera lens. So let's see if this works out. Okay, can you see the shininess on that? Let me adjust the angle a little bit. Alright, now you can see it. Keep a couple things in mind when you're spraying. Don't start your spray right here and end it right there. Spray past it. Because what happens if you start and stop right here, you're going to build up a more paint here, and it'll start to run. Alright, so good to go on that. Alright, so now we're going to come, and normally I'll just spin to the right. Hit it up and down. This can's a little empty, so I'm going to have to play with it a little bit. Now I broke my own rule right there because of the open door. Alright, so nice and shiny, a little bit on the bottom. And get the inside bottom of the edges too, because you're going to end up painting those in case the bottom of the shell goes past the flooring in the car. Alright, so now we're going to turn over here. Alright. Now we're going to get the top. You can rotate it. You can see light flashing up and down on it to show you any dry spots. Some spots that might look like they might need a little bit extra. Bring it this way. And that way. This end here, it looks a little dry. Alright, now we got that done. Nice and shiny. We're going to set it to the side. Okay. Well, there you go. I'm going to take the camera off the base now so we can get a little closer to these things so you can see them. Okay, so now if I can get my big camera head out of the light. I don't know, you can't really see them too much, and this stuff dries pretty quick. You might be able to see a little shininess on this one here. Yeah, there you go. You can see the shine on them a little bit. Up here on the car, we'll move it around here so you can see it's drying. We don't have any runs. See how much more shiny that is? And while that's drying in, we're going to go ahead and let this set up. Okay, so always put it back level. All right, so there you go. That's what we're working on. That's how we're doing it. You can see the blue tape that I used and some some spots where I try out the airbrush gun. It's just where I test things. So we're going to let this dry for an hour minimum. And remember, patience is a virtue in this game. You don't rush anything. We're going to check it after an hour, and if it needs another coat, we'll put another coat on it. If not, we'll be back here and keep going. Alright, stick around. Okay, welcome back. So it's been a couple hours now. We've walked back in the room here. We've got our little car shell up here, and we're looking at it. And again, we're just rolling it around, taking a look at it, looking for any wet stuff. Normally there's not. This stuff dries really quick, but it, you know, it's just, I don't know. I'm not a very patient person by nature, but when it comes to painting, I've had enough screw ups that I like to take my time. Let me zoom the camera out here, and we'll take a look at this thing. As good as the camera will let us do. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. I don't see any fuzz. I don't see any wet spots. I don't see any hard cracks. And you notice that if I hold it like this, it's one way, but if I turn it against the light here, you can really see what's going on inside it. And it looks pretty good. Remember, when you're prepping this thing, you want, because of these grooves, you want to spray up at an angle like this, and down at an angle like that, and then straight in like that. And if you go like this a couple of times, and then give it one of these and one of those. Okay, that wraps up part one of the video. And in this video, just to recap, we covered disassembly of the locomotive. We removing the old paint, prepping to paint, put the dull coat on, actually putting the dull coat on, painting, and prepping to decal. So I hope that you will, hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer them. Also, here in just a few minutes up here, probably in this corner, you're going to see a link to go to watch part 2 of the video, where we will be doing the prepping to decal, the necessary materials that you need to decal a car, set up how I do what I do, my little area, applying decals, setting the decals, and then reassembly. So see you in the other video. Bye. Oh, as always, rate, comment, share. Y'all take care.